Let's welcome in Tom Murphy into the program this morning, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, Whole Hog Sports. Tom, the AP poll is going to come out in a little bit, and I think it's either 11 or 12 o'clock. And I did see that a good chunk of teams above Arkansas had lost. What are the odds that the Razorbacks are ranked, winning their 8th straight game, and heading into this Auburn matchup tomorrow night, bud?
I think a very strong chance. I know Bob had them like 25th last week, and when you start getting votes and people look at the teams at the bottom of the poll, because I do this in football, you're looking at the teams at the bottom of the poll and say, okay, it's time for them to fall out. Then you start looking at teams to jump up there, and you start getting, a little bit of national headlines and stuff when you've won 8 in a row, and when you're in the top, 3, you're tied for 3rd in the conference. You deserve some recognition, and their home loss to Vanderbilt was not a pretty thing. But can you imagine if they had won that, they'd be in 2nd place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think 20, 21, and 25, and I don't know, but I think they all lost this weekend. LSU was one of those teams that lost to Vandy. So there were 3 of the last 5 teams in the poll that did take a defeat Saturday. So maybe the door is open for Arkansas.
Yeah, I think it is. And on a side note, what's happened to LSU? Them and Texas A&M got off to such great starts in overall and in the league, and both of them are really, really reeling right now.
Don't you just feel bad for Will Wade, Tommy, and what's happening with that program?
Breaks my heart. Right here at Valentine's Day, a week from today, it just breaks my heart.
Breaky heart. Now, Tom, I want to look to this matchup tomorrow night. Walker Kessler and Jalen Williams, they played each other in high school. These are 2 of the best 3 big men in the league, these 2. Then you also got Osher Tashibwe at Kentucky. And I think in order for Arkansas to win this game, Jalen has to win tomorrow night. When you look at him as a true freshman coming out of Northside to where he is now as one of the best big men in this league, what's the biggest improvement that you've noticed from Jalen's game?
Gosh, all around for starters, and part 2 of that is he went from being you remember at the start of last year, he was getting, minutes here and there, but it's like he and Devo Davis, when they emerged midway, that's kind of when the winning streak started. And I just think with his enhanced minutes that his ability to be a rim protector in 2 different ways, blocking shots and drawing all the charges he does, has been great. He's got great court awareness and savvy. I think he's a good leader. I think he's a positive. When you look at his face, he's always smiling. So he's just a great guy to have on your team, and he has got to stay out of foul trouble against Auburn, no question.
So we were kind of trying to predict the chess match tomorrow night, tempo of the game, how many threes Arkansas takes. Can you get Kessler in foul trouble? What do you think will be central to the game plan? Arkansas only made 4 3-point baskets. That doesn't appear like that will work against a team like Auburn. I don't know how much you can drive and get to the rim with Kessler in there. So, Tom, if you're Musselman and his staff, and you've been probably working on this secretly for a little while, but certainly front and center since Saturday night, what is central to a game plan you think that Arkansas will put on the floor at 6 o'clock tomorrow night?
Well, you can't stray away from who you are, and so that does mean you have to drive strong, try to drive into his body, try to get fouls. He's going to get his hands on some shots, and you drive into him, and then the guy who's, say if you're J.D. Note, you drive in there and draw some pressure or draw him, then you can dish to Jalen Williams or his man. So that's got to all be a part of it. Auburn is super, super aggressive. If you guys remember, I said Thursday, this Mississippi State game, it is going to be very physical. And boy, was it. I was listening to the Mississippi State broadcast, and Richard Williamson, the former Mississippi State coach, said at one point, this is about the most physical game I've ever seen. There was fouls called, but, man, there was so much contact that wasn't called. And I think you're going to see the same thing in this game. I was disappointed to see there was a no call at the end of the Auburn game because Green, barreled into Eder and knocked him over. And, it's just one of those calls that sometimes the number 1 team or the conference power seems to get.
Aren't we secretly glad they didn't call? We really don't want Auburn coming to Fayetteville off a loss.
Well, I get your point. But, man, I felt bad for Georgia because they played such a good game after Arkansas blew their doors off in the second half, and they were in it the whole way. And I thought Kessler got away with several over the backs. Anyway, if they call the game really tight and they call over the backs, and that could be a detriment to Kessler and Auburn. And Arkansas has got to limit Auburn's 3-point shooting, because that's how they get on these run-outs and blowouts when they're hot from 3-point range. But they present multiple problems. Who's going to stop Johnson, and who's going to guard Smith? I mean, they've got talent all over the floor for sure.
Tom Murphy with us here on the Morning Rush. Tom, Connor Vanover, he's back after missing 2 games. His coach said it wasn't due to COVID, it was something else. But you look at this matchup, you've got 7-1 Walker Kessler, who I think is going to be Jalen Williams' main man the majority of the night. But let's say Jalen gets into foul trouble or needs a spell. It's mainly been Kamani Johnson that's come in. Kamani only ranges about 6'7", 6'8". What are the odds we see Connor get some minutes tomorrow night just for a matchup situation?
Well, if he's got his stamina built back up from the illness, then there's a chance. And, maybe you can expend a few fouls, just trying to be physical with Kessler. But Kessler's just so much more built up in his upper body than Connor. And it's the quick reaction time things that Connor seems to have an issue with, like rebounds that are kind of 50-50 balls. Sometimes people just beat him to the mark. And honestly, if he was 3-point shooting, as we've seen him do in practices and at some points, he would still be getting minutes, but he just hasn't found his 3-point stroke. So I don't know. The flow of the game is going to depend on what his minutes look like.
Tom, I also am thinking about just tomorrow night, the atmosphere we're going to see. I asked Tommy, he thinks there's going to be about 17,000. It's a 6 o'clock tip. There's high school basketball tomorrow night. The weather, you're up in Northwest Arkansas. There's still, when I left, there was still a little bit of ice, but what kind of crowd, with it being a whiteout, with it being the number 1 team in the country that's never stepped foot into Bud Walton Arena, what kind of atmosphere are we expecting tomorrow night?
Oh, man, I expect a wild atmosphere. And, I mean, it's hard to put a finger on the numbers, but, you've seen the thing going around where they're asking companies to let employees off early so they can fill up, the arena earlier because of the 6 o'clock tip. So it's going to be a madhouse. And of course, ESPN wants them to still be undefeated when Saturday rolls around against A&M. So they have game day down in Auburn.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I think this is going to be, Auburn cannot afford to have the same type of effort they've had in their last 2 games. They really skeeched one out against Missouri, and the same against Georgia, their last 2 road games. And if they have the same effort here, I think they'll get beat.
One other thing Arkansas did well Saturday that needs to carry over is the turnovers. Arkansas limited their turnovers to 6 a game. Tom, we've seen it in double digits more often than not this time of the year. What do you think led to the better numbers in the turnover column, and how does Arkansas carry that forward to tomorrow night?
Yeah, I don't think Mississippi State extended its defense much like some other teams have, and I guess Arkansas, with this tighter rotation that they're running right now, they know each other a little bit better. I didn't see a lot of the skip passes where you throw it real high across the court. And I think they did a better job when they drove in on, either shooting it or finding an open guy. I mean, I thought Note's wraparound pass for the Wade dunk was one of the better plays of the night.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just think, more time on the court together, know each other better. And I also think that 6 is not a number Arkansas is going to repeat a lot.
No, probably not. And you're talking about tighter rotations and familiarity. I think Chuck mentioned this. I think it's 8 straight games they went with the same starting lineup. So they've seemed to have the combination down that works for them. And they only went 3 deep off the bench with Davis, Likes, and Johnson coming off the bench. So I think you're onto something there. They had 12 assists too, and you mentioned a kind of a highlight assist on that wraparound pass. So I think we'll see much of the same personnel in this game, and maybe a few minutes from Vanover, but I'd expect about the same personnel, wouldn't you?
I would expect much the same, and I'll tell you, Kamani Johnson and Chris Likes' minutes were invaluable against Mississippi State, and the whole thing's about Likes coming on. That is a huge deal for the Razorbacks because, Note's got to get his rest, and then you also want a guy handling the ball outside of Devo when Note is on the bench. And I think right before the winning streak started, Lights' minutes were not super valuable. I remember some games where when he came in, the turnovers started racking up, and they just took advantage of him. But now he's playing tougher. I mean, his scrappy defense, he just took the ball away from number 10 on one play, and it started a break and a three-point play for Note. And he also got the tie ball with Molinar that, really they were frustrating Molinar with the way they defended him. So, and we got to give Audice Toney his props for that because, as Ben Howland pointed out, he did the best job on Toney in that game. Right. So, hey, Lights' minutes, those were important the other night.
He better be glad that three-pointer went in with 30 seconds to go, or his minutes would be non-existent moving forward, I'm afraid.
I mean, everybody, I think when he was asked about it, he said, it was a good shot. You could see the shot clock behind him from the view I saw. 18 seconds left on that shot clock when there's under a minute left. Oh, man. Wow.
Tom, last thing before we let you go, your thoughts on this Brian Harsin news that continues to make waves, not just out of Auburn, but really through the SEC landscape and the impact it could have on the rest of the SEC West this year?
Yeah, I heard you guys talking about it when I came in, and it's a fascinating study because it's multifaceted in the various factions and the way this is playing out. And it's like a welcome to the SEC. I mean, yeah, today's kids, they don't want to hear the criticisms near as much. And by the way, these guys who've been criticizing him, they're not scoring well in their English and their grammar classes based on what I read. But all kidding aside, it's a serious deal. The buyout is huge. I think it's $18 million plus. Mm-hmm. And you're already reading reports where, well, if they let him go, he's been there 1 year. If they let him go, they're going to try to do it with cause. Well, can the way you talk to players be considered for cause? I mean, that's really blurring the lines. So I don't know. I understand Chris Lowe went on the Feinbaum show and said when things like this start to happen, as he put it, when the genie's out of the bottle, it's really hard for the coach to hang on. But I understand there was a rally at Toomer's Corner, so it's just SEC drama in a nutshell, man, in one spot, Auburn.
Glad it's them and not you. Yeah. That's the only thing most fans would say. Glad it's not my school.
Good point. Tom.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Good stuff as always, man. We'll talk more on Thursday about this Auburn game and just what Arkansas basketball looks like after it.
Will do. Take care. See y'all.
The big game is finally here as we hit Super Sunday with the last game of the football season. From scored, totals, player performance props, to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline is the #1 spot for all things NFL betting in 2022. And with the new year comes a new updated desktop and mobile website. Sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE to get started. That's BLEAV. And it's not just football. BetOnline's basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC odds coverage is the best in the business. From sports right down to your favorite Vegas casino games, BetOnline is your #1 online wagering destination. BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports and play your favorite games. BetOnline, where the game starts.